Guys, I am the absolute dictator of an HOA. I'm the dictator. Yeah, I am. Now, I am not the Vladimir Putin of the HOA. I'm not the Kim Jong-un of the HOA. I consider myself a benevolent dictator. Along the lines of Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, who for decades he ran Singapore, and he brought Singapore from a very low level to a very high level, right? No corruption, taking care of business, doing things the right way, right? He was a benevolent dictator. He had a lot of success. And now Singapore is one of the best run countries in the world and one of the richest countries in the world. That's who I model myself after. But yeah, I am the dictator of the HOA. Now how could I become a dictator of an HOA? Because let me tell you, I am not the sharpest tool in the shed, all right? I'm not the smartest guy out there. I'm not massively wealthy. It just worked out. It's not something that I aspired to be, right? I bought property in this community. I found out that the HOA was dysfunctional. I found out that the directors didn't show up if they even existed. I started going to the meetings and trying to get things taken care of properly, trying to get things done right. And I found out a lot of things that I never wanted to find out. All right. I never wanted to know really about the HOA when I bought property in this community. I thought I just paid my money and things got taken care of. I was wrong. I was completely wrong. I found out that the directors were ineffective. So when I had the chance, I ran for office in the HOA. I was able to secure myself one of the board seats. There's 3 board seats: president, vice president, secretary. Each one of them has 1 vote, so it really doesn't matter. But I was able to get the position of secretary by getting enough votes and getting enough proxies. And then the vice president sold his property and he left. He doesn't want, he's not on the board anymore. He's gone. I was able to get my daughter, my 19-year-old daughter at that time, elected to vice president. So then I had 2 out of the 3 board seats. So then I had a majority, right? So that basically makes me a dictator because my daughter's not going to vote against me, right? And then the president, a couple years later, the president, he resigned. He was a pretty old guy. And one day we had a meeting, and right before that meeting, he sent in the notice that he ain't coming and he ain't never coming, and he's resigning. So me and my daughter at that time, we had the right to install a new board member. So we did. We made my son president. My son, he was about 18 at the time. President of an HOA, 18-year-old kid. Ridiculous. But that's how it goes, man. I was able to get my son elected later. So that's how it stands right now. My son is president, my daughter's vice president, and I'm secretary. Actually, they both outrank me. So we go to the meetings, and I say, look, you guys just vote with me. Just vote with me. All right, you vote against me and I'll kill you. All right, so they won't vote against me. They don't care. They're just doing this for their dad. They don't care. And how was I able to do this? How was I able to take over an HOA board? How? It's because the owners, the members, don't show up. They don't vote. They don't participate. They don't know what's going on. They don't know. They don't know. The only time they ever contact the HOA is when they have a problem and they want something, right? They don't know. They don't care. They don't show up. This community has about 50 different owners. I calculate maybe 55. I don't know. There's 64 units in the community. They're all fourplexes. Mostly renters live here. Very few owners live here. Okay, so I calculate about 1,000 people live in this community. One guy has taken over the HOA. That's me. It's ridiculous. It's guys, that's ridiculous. It shouldn't be that way. People should participate. So when it comes time to increase the dues, guess who makes that decision? One guy. One guy makes that decision. And yeah, they got a 10% increase this year. I increased their dues 10% this year. Why? Why? Well, I tell you what, we need the money. We always need the money, right? When I increase 10% on the members, I'm also increasing it on myself. I have to pay the dues too. So it's not like I'm immune from that, right? And if these owners are not going to participate, if they're not going to come to the meetings, they're not going to vote, they're not going to do any physical labor, they just want to sit back, okay, well then you can at least pay. You can at least pay. If everyone participated and we took care of this stuff together, the dues could be a lot lower. But nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do that, right? So yeah, that's how I was able. Now look, I have to work within the law, right? I have to work within the HOA bylaws and covenants. I have to work within the rules. All right, so when I say I'm the absolute dictator, all right, I'm not really the absolute dictator, but I'm basically the dictator. Am I not? You tell me, am I not? As a matter of fact, today is the day of the annual meeting. It's 1 hour once a year. At 3 o'clock, I'm going to go down to the office. The community manager will be there. My son will be there. My daughter will be there by video chat. Okay. I don't think any other member will show up. I don't think so. I'll be surprised if one other member shows up out of probably more than 50. I'll be surprised if one shows up. I'll be flabbergasted if 2 show up. I will be gobsmacked if 2 members show up. They can ask me whatever they want, right? We can talk about whatever they want, whatever they want. But, if they start, saying a whole bunch of stuff about how stuff should be, and they don't like it, I'm going to say, where have you been? Where have you been over the past several years? They don't show up, right? I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to, try to get things done that the members want. In fact, that's my goal. My goal is to make this community better. I just want the trash cleaned up. I want the lawns mowed. I want the fence fixed. I want the potholes filled. That's what I want. Simple stuff. I don't care what color you paint your building. All right, I don't care what kind of tree you plant in front of your building. I don't care if your renters have a swing set on your front lawn. This is a working family's community, working woman's community. All right, this is a family community, lower class, lower middle class, upper lower class. So we're not, you're not allowed to leave junk cars in the community. You're not. Reasonable stuff. It's all reasonable stuff, right? That's what I want. And for so long, that stuff didn't happen here. All right? And it's still hard to get things done because I'm just one guy. I'm one guy, working against, a tsunami of just stuff that goes on. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It is very hard to get people to do their job. It's hard to get people to do what they're supposed to do. It really is. It really is. So, and that's why a lot of people don't want to be on the board. Most people don't want to be on the board. That's why they don't want to come to the meetings. They don't think anything's going to get done. Everybody gives up. Well, I'm the guy who didn't give up. I kept at it. I was persistent. I kept going to the meetings. I kept looking for ways I could fix things and influence things. That's how I did it. That's how I did it. And it's a thankless job. It really is. If I was smart, I'd probably sell my property and just leave. And mark my words, if I did that, this place would become an absolute dump. It really would. It really would. I'll make another video. I'll show you the pictures. I'll show you pictures of when it was becoming a dump before I took over the board. I will make a video about that. You'll be amazed of how bad it can get. So, I don't know. Yeah, I should probably sell my property and just take off and say, good luck, fellas. Good luck. You wanted it, now you got it. But I don't know. I just think that holding on to property over the long term is usually what you should do. But who knows? Maybe someday I'll sell it, and then they'll lose 3 board members all at once. Because once I'm gone, my son and daughter, they're not going to want to be on the board. By the way, according to the rules, you do not have to own property in the community to be on the board. And it's okay if you're all 3 family members. That's okay. In fact, the first 3 board members, when this community was constructed, the first 3 board members, they were all family members. They all have the same last name. Anyway, yeah, that's how an average guy became the dictator of a community of 1,000 people. And he's sorry he ever got involved in it, let me tell you. All right, guys, take care.